All of that, it sounds good,
elements.
but this is a diet and exercise, and I'm wondering
I
still
don't know.
about the
I don't know.
cyanide
I don't know
pill.
what this cyanide pill you keep bringing up.
The tariffs against every other country around the planet. The tariffs on every single country on the planet. It was Liberation Day when he held up the chart and he told us how much he was tariffing the Penguin Island.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. I'm going to be talking about Trump's trade policies towards China.
Okay.
And manufacturing, reshoring, all those kind of good things. I'm probably going to monologue a little bit, so just cut me off whenever you want to.
Okay.
So I'm in favor of like Trump's, in general, tariffs, reshoring of manufacturing, things like this. I have three main arguments. First one, while I acknowledge that a global free market economy is best for everyone, doesn't work if people are engaged in unfair trading practices, which China does. They do a thing called tech transfer.
Well, here, actually, can we walk through? So on the very first thing you said,
Yeah.
when you said you're in favor of the tariffs, can I ask, what is the goal of the tariffs?
So again, you have reshoring of not all manufacturing. I don't want to be an autarky, whatever it's called. I just wanted strategic manufacturing of crucial goods, rare earth elements, pharmaceuticals, and semiconductors that are really important for, like, especially defense. So, China's a big adversary of ours, and so if we ever get into a trade war or a hot war, these are things that we want onshore for security reasons.
Can you tell me, how do tariffs make it so that we onshore specific industries?
So, I can get to that. So reshoring of strategic goods. So I'll talk about what Trump has done policy-wise in these areas. So for pharmaceuticals, regulatory streamlining in May 2025, President Trump signed an executive order directing federal agencies, particularly the FDA, to eliminate regulatory hurdles, accelerate permitting, and prioritize domestic pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
This includes removing duplicate requirements for building new manufacturing sites in the U.S., maximizing timeliness and predictability of FDA reviews for drug manufacturing facilities, expanding programs for offering technical guidance to domestic manufacturers before facilities are operational, clarifying guidance for moving production from foreign to domestic sites.
So all of those things sound good. None of those things sound like they have anything to do with tariffs, though.
Right. So I started off by saying trade policies. So initially, when Travis emailed me asking the topic, I said tariffs. As I was doing research, I kind of realized I should broaden it to more than just tariffs.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tariffs is one of the things.
I understand it, but there's this thing that happens where people talk about tariffs, and then they want to talk about how good the trade policy is related to tariffs, and then when they talk about good things, none of the things they talk about have anything to do with the tariffs. So like this weird thing, it feels like there's a guy that comes in and he gives you like a very small cyanide pill, and then as part of the cyanide pill training program, he puts you on like a really good calorie-restricted diet with high protein. He gives you like a workout regimen. He helps you with cardio and swimming. And then the question is like, okay, why do we have to do this cyanide pill thing? And then it's like, well, let's look at what he says in terms of exercise. It's like, okay, sure, but what about like the cyanide pill thing? It's like, okay, yeah, but also like the diet plan is really good. It's like, but why about the cyanide pill? So like if you want to talk about like getting rid of unnecessary hurdles or duplicate requirements or whatever in the FDA, like that's all fine. But the tariffs just seem bad. Like I can't think of a defense for the tariffs.
So the point of the tariffs specifically, and the reason I'd say specifically China is, and it's not against the Chinese people, it's against their communist government, okay? You and I both hate communism. Communism is an inherently evil way of ruling a society. And so what I'm trying to say
what's one of the biggest inherent evils in communism?
Well, whenever a country becomes communistic, they tend to kill millions of their own people. For starters, human rights abuses, no free speech, no freedom of religion, no Second Amendment, these kind of things.
Okay, I would say that one of the biggest tenets that I don't like of authoritarian regimes is the idea that one leader decides the policy and then everybody kind of has to follow in line behind that. And I feel like the tariffs are kind of authoritarian in the way that they're being doled out. The president isn't supposed to be able to do hardcore economic policy on his own, especially international trade. And I feel like Trump has kind of abused the national emergency situation to make himself the individual person that gets to set massive tariff rates on every other country around the world.
So you're challenging his legal right to induce tariffs?
I mean, I would say the legal right is there, but also like the ideological or conceptual right as well. Like as a democracy, when it comes to trade and the economy, like we don't elect one guy to figure all this out. Like these things are generally trade agreements that are set by Congress. The president and his ambassadors or envoys or, his secretaries might be in charge of negotiating aspects of this, but the idea that it's just the president doing these massive trade deals, I don't like to call it that because I don't think we actually have any yet, I just think it's not good. And then, yeah, I think there are other things that we can defend in terms of incentivizing local manufacturing and everything, but I don't know what the massive, insane tariff regime has to do with that.
Well, with China, I think it's 10% blanket on everything. There's a 20% fentanyl tariff, which I think is good because fentanyl
Damn, now
is
people are
largely...
dying of fentanyl and they're going broke buying it too?
What?
It seems like a lot. No, never mind. Sorry.
I didn't hear what you said.
My bad.
So on pharmaceuticals, so the response, so I didn't go over everything, but you understand he's done some things to streamline the process. The industry response, the threat of tariffs and promised streamlined regulation has led several pharmaceutical companies, such as Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, and AbbVie, to announce or consider new investments in U.S. manufacturing facilities, although challenges remain regarding the high costs and long timelines for building such plants. So Trump's sweeping tariffs and executive orders have prompted pharmaceutical companies, including AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Eli Lilly, to announce plans for more than $250 billion in new or expanding U.S. manufacturing facilities. AstraZeneca, so other companies have pledged many billions of dollars as well. Would you say this is a good thing that has occurred? Like, would you agree that decoupling from China in terms of us relying on them for pharmaceuticals is a good goal to have?
It could be, yeah.
Okay, so I would say that I said what he did, I didn't get all of it, but I said he did things. We've had good results, so would you agree that's a good thing?
Not necessarily.
Why?
Because I think that he's going about it the worst way possible, and I feel like there's like a million better ways he could approach this. I don't know if I would necessarily trust the person to do this. Like if you had a group of friends and nobody had a driver's license, but one guy did have a driver's license, but he was also wasted, and that's like your ride home, it's not good, even though like directionally we kind of want to get home at the end of the night. I think that Donald Trump is a little bit like a drunk driver when it comes to doing trade policy with the rest of the world.
Destiny, I feel like I'm talking about specific trade like policies, and you're trying to make like these meme-y like analogies. I'm not sure that's exactly good faith, to be honest.
So the issue is that, so for instance, if you wanted to onshore more of our pharmaceutical stuff, one thing that you would do is you would stop attacking all of the general scientific research that's happening in the United States. So hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars at this point have been pulled from domestic research into all of our universities and institutions when it comes to some of that general scientific research. So I would say that's one thing that hurts domestic pharmaceutical stuff in the United States. The second thing that hurts is when you're tariffing countries instead of tariffing industries, you're not actually protecting any of your local industries. You're just setting arbitrary trade policies against other countries. So let's say, for instance, we do 100% tariff on China and we have a 1% tariff or whatever on Germany. Well, Germany pharmaceutical sector can just outcompete our ordinary, our domestic pharmaceutical sector. Like you're not actually helping your industry at that point. Usually protectionist trade policies are targeting certain industries, but Donald Trump doesn't know what a trade policy or what protectionist is. He probably thinks that's when you wear a condom when you go to fuck a porn star, I guess, is protectionism, if I had to guess, right?
Okay.
There are comprehensive ways. So for instance, when Joe Biden wanted to incentivize more manufacturing in the United States related to microprocessors, he had the CHIPS Act. The CHIPS Act was $500 billion. There was a specific doled out, huge, massive investment in domestic infrastructure to produce microprocessors. And that was wildly successful. It was so successful, in fact, that Donald Trump is trying to take credit for a lot of those industries that are being built now in the United States because of his tariffing thing.
CHIPS Act. So CHIPS Act, something, some people, I don't know if you're saying that he like undid the CHIPS Act or tried to fight against it.
No, I think he likes it. He tries to take credit for some of the things that started under the CHIPS Act.
Yeah, so I would say the CHIPS Act, the goal of the CHIPS Act under Biden was a good thing in terms of reshoring semiconductor fabrication plants to America.
Well, not just the goal, but like the actual, it was good implementation too. Because the issue with Donald Trump's tariffs, so first of all, these are massive capital investment things. Every industry that he wants to protect, nobody is going to do a massive capital investment in infrastructure in the United States off the back of a tariff that can be changed by the next president. This is why legislation is important. The first guy that I debated about immigration policy, this is why it's important to pass legislation instead of trying to rule by executive fiat, because whatever a president can do by executive order, the next one can rescind by executive order. So this whole tariff regime could disappear in 3 years. Imagine if you're one of the people that invested $1 trillion in onshoring some kind of domestic manufacturing, and now it's all for nothing.
Right, so tariffs are one thing, but I'm talking about other policies other than just tariffing. I acknowledge that what you're saying is true in that this volatility, businesses
not
don't
to
like
be
volatility.
silly, but I know what you're saying. So you're saying I want to focus on the diet and the exercise and not the cyanide pill. But the cyanide pill was like the really outstanding, huge thing that Donald Trump sold us all on to manage the entire trade policy.
I'm talking about specifically tariffs on China, okay? So,
sure.
And you're saying broad tariffs are bad, but I'm saying broad tariffs on China are good.
Yeah, but even
China is an
countrywide-
inherently aggressive and immoral economic player in the global field.
Okay.
They engage in intellectual property theft.
Agreed.
They don't care about patents. I can find my notes. They don't care about patents. They exploit.
You don't have to. I agree with you. China does a lot of bad things. Yeah.
Okay, so if
Yeah.
you agree that China is just kind of this inherently evil communist regime, then and tariffs, broad tariffs, work to decouple economically from China, that's a good thing.
Yeah, but there's a good way to approach it, right? Like, if you really wanted to tackle China, then the goal would be to shore up the alliances that you have with the rest of your trading partners and to build something stronger that can outcompete China in what they're doing. It wouldn't be to make an enemy of every single other country in the rest of the world, which is what Donald Trump has basically done with his tariff regime.
I wouldn't agree that he's made an enemy of the entire world.
The rest of the world would disagree,
deals.
I think.
He's made deals.
We have no deals yet.
Didn't he make like a? Okay, I could be wrong.
We
I thought
keep
he
getting-
made a significant deal with the European Union.
Yeah,
recently.
we're still like in talks. There's always like the framework and the skeleton of a deal, but nothing is like, we have nothing to look at yet. It's like
Okay,
agreeing
well,
to, yeah.
I haven't researched deals with other countries. I kind of focus on China, so I can't really speak to that.
Okay. But like we can't, like China has like 3 times their population, right? Don't we kind of have to worry about other countries as well if we want to actually defeat China in any meaningful way and some...
Yeah, but alliances are good. I'm pro alliances, so I acknowledge that Trump has strained our relationship with certain alliances.
With all of them.
I also
Well,
think,
except for maybe not Israel.
I also think that I mean, I don't want to get too off topic.
Sure.
But asking other countries in NATO to provide a comparative amount of their GDP to defense as we do, I think makes sense. That may strain relationships in the short term, but I think that's fair in the long term.
That might be, but I don't necessarily disagree with that, but it's the fact that every single thing has been bad with other countries, whether we're joking about, like, it's crazy that we already have forgotten that the President of the United States seemed to be seriously considering redrawing our borders with Canada, or talked about invading Panama or Greenland, or tore up our trade agreement that he himself had negotiated with Mexico and Canada, or sent the Vice President of the United States to Europe to make an enemy out of the entire European Union.
He didn't tear up the trade deal with Canada and Mexico. With Mexico, in terms of tariffs, the goods that were on the trade deal with Mexico, he acknowledged and kept those tariff-free. But other things he tariffed. So he didn't just tear it up.
That's
he
like
did
I
acknowledge it.
understand that's a cute thing to say, but the reality is, well, it's cute in that, like, do you think that Mexico feels like the United States has been a respectable trading partner after they'd renegotiated a new trade agreement 5 years ago, and now the United States is coming through unilaterally and slapping huge tariffs on the other parts of the market?
Well, like I said, the goods that we agreed upon that we're not going to be taxed are not taxed. And actually, I read that Mexico's actually benefiting from this because while we were tariffing other countries, but respecting the deal that we made with Mexico, Mexico's actually benefiting disproportionately from our tariffs in other countries. So
That's possible through these like secondary trades or whatever, but I'm just saying that we had a trade agreement with Canada and Mexico. We had a process by which we could go back to that agreement and renegotiate things. Donald Trump hasn't done all of that, whether that's because of incompetence or senility or some combination of both. Like if we wanted to deal with China, I don't even necessarily disagree that China is like the adversary that we have, maybe not even militarily, but at least economically and technologically going into the future. But I feel like Donald Trump has done everything possible to weaken our position in that upcoming battle.
Well, I disagree, and I have good reasons to say so.
Okay, give me the next top reason. Yeah.
The hot reason. So they engage in currency manipulation, but you probably agree with that. They do engage in unfair government subsidies for specific strategic industries. We went over pharmaceuticals, rare earth elements. So Donald Trump has directed federal agencies to prioritize and rapidly compile lists of pending mineral production projects with deadlines as short as 10 to 15 days for project nominations and permitting fast tracking. Empowered the National Energy Dominance Council, headed by the Secretary of the Interior, to lead supply chain development and designate new critical minerals for support.
But in terms of like rare earth resources,
Yeah.
do you think that we would have a better chance identifying every single repository of these in the United States? Or do you think if we had a good relationship with our trading partners across the rest of the world that we could just continue to buy from them?
I mean, we can do both. I'm not saying we have to manufacture everything ourselves. We can, as long as we're not relying on China, who's like our main enemy. That's what I'm trying to do. So either us is good, allies is good, either or. But I'm saying that Trump...
One more minute there, Mira.
Okay. Trump, these actions have several new processing, recycling, and magnetic manufacturing facilities that are under construction in Texas. So there's plants being built. We have the
All of that, it sounds good, but
elements.
this is a diet and exercise, and I'm wondering still
I don't know.
about the
I don't know.
cyanide
I don't know
pill.
what this cyanide pill you keep bringing up.
The
I'm trying to
tariff
make-
thing of every other country around the planet. The tariffs on every single country
Okay.
on the planet. It was Liberation Day
Okay.
when he held up the chart and he told us how much he was tariffing the Penguin Island.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
For the record. Okay, I'm not equipped to debate the tariffs on all the countries. I'm sorry. I focused
That's
on
okay.
I
Neither is
focused on
Trump's
China.
administration.
Is that a problem? I focused
Yes,
on China.
it's not good. You have to have a holistic view of the
Okay.
rest of the world.
Look.
When I'm fighting Hassan, okay, online, the thing that I know that is the best for me is not when Hassan or it's not when I'm just fighting Hassan. It's when he's fighting every single other community as well, right? When Asmongold is fighting him, when XQC is fighting him, when OTK is fighting him. I know this because the more people that are against him, the more strained that his resources are. So if Hassan wanted to go to war with me, and his first step in that war was to attack every single other online creator, I would just sit back and laugh because I've already won at that point, right? You can basically post a clip right now on LSF of Hassan breathing, and Asmongold's community is going to jump on and call him a communist for it. Like, that's good for me. And right now, that's where we're moving in the United States, to where whatever battle we want to have with China in terms of having some back and forth with them, the rest of the world should be looking at the United States as like, okay, who do we want leading us into the future? Do we want China or the US? I want the US, so let's continue to build on that relationship. And now they're like, okay, well, the US fucking hates us. China's fucking China. I guess, I don't know, do we look to Germany to lead us again in the future? Or like,
Is it possible?
I don't know. Like, everybody's really fucking confused right now. It's not good. And the tariffs are a huge part of that. That's my issue.
Yeah, tariffs are volatile. I think there's an argument to be made that like crazy up and down tariffs in the beginning can be used as a negotiation tool by Trump to secure better trade deals. I don't think this is like an illogical
It is
statement.
illogical.
I don't think so.
Every other planet, other planets would disagree if there's intelligent life there. Every other country on Earth also seems to disagree. It
Okay.
hasn't worked so far. We don't have any trade deals yet, and all it's done is hurt our relationship with everybody else.
Okay.
If crazy,
Phil,
wacky,
you're
wild...
Destiny, give me a second. You're pulling me away. I prepared for a specific point, and you're like pulling me away from that point, and so I feel kind of like fish out of water right now. I understand you have problems with tariffs on other countries. I didn't research it, so I can't speak on that. I prepared a long thing about China. I think I'm out of time. I just wanted to say that, look, with the USSR, we made it, specifically under the Reagan administration, we made it our goal to bring an end to communism. And we achieved that, large part due to economic inhibition of the country. Tariffs on China get us to that end. So I'm
But think
saying
about
what we
Reagan.
did with the USSR,
Think about
we can
Reagan.
do with the CCP.
Sure. Think about Reagan. What was Reagan's most famous moment when it came to standing up against the USSR?
Bring down the wall.
Well, yeah, which was the reunification of Germany, which is not the United States. It was taking an interest in our allies. It was going to another country. Like, the propaganda model that we had at that time was, look at how shitty life is in East Germany compared to life in West Germany, right? Nobody's jumping over the wall in West Germany to go and party in East Germany. It was always the other way around. And that was that was what the West had to show for what we were doing, you know? And the idea that we went from, Gorbachev tear down this wall to, we're going to build a wall around us and block every other country and every other relationship in the world and do it on our own, right? Like in today, Donald Trump is the way that we beat the rest of the world is to fucking lock down every single thing we do and just focus on the U.S. And in the Cold War, it was like, we care so much about the rest of the world, we're going to go and fucking coup every South African government in order to install our own loyalist leaders. Like, there's a huge change in strategy. I'm not saying that we should do what the CIA did in the 50s, 60s, 70s or whatever. I'm just saying that obviously having strong relationships with everybody else around the world is the most important thing you can have when it comes to doing battle with an adversary that can produce more children than your entire country can in 10 years, in 6 months.
Well, they've actually are experiencing population decline and an aging population, so that's
Sure.
not exactly true. China has a lot of issues, actually.
Final thoughts there, Mira.
China is grappling with extremely high levels of debt. They have actually a slowing down of their economy. They are having actually political instability. Xi Jinping has been missing from the public sector for a little while now, which people suspect maybe China's trying to position to a different political leader, which can indicate political and economic instability. I still think that the CCP is a bad actor. We should decouple from them economically. I understand that you want to shore up our alliances with other countries. I agree with that.
Can I ask a question on this? So you're pointing out that China does have these problems, which they do, right? They're having demographic issues now that every other country's had.
And they actually have high unemployment rate for the young people as well.
Sure, they have, yeah. So why is it that Donald Trump is so obsessed with copying China's model of being a manufacturing export economy if we agree that China has all of these issues that they're now starting to run into? Isn't it kind of weird that China, as they're growing, are trying to be more like the United States moving into the future, and the United States, for some reason, has become obsessed with trying to become more like China, which is in an earlier phase of development?
You mean becoming an autarky? Is that what you're
Or
saying?
like just like focusing on like manufacturing and like having like steel
Right, I'm arguing
mills
for
and-
manufacturing in specific sectors. I didn't say we should have manufacturing of everything. We should have a free market in the world with fair trading practices. But pharmaceuticals, rare earth elements, and semiconductors, those are important. We should try to have those here, or at least have our allies be making them for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, put it up for Mira Williams.